episode is released. The anxiety episode is released. They say it's all in your head. For years and years and years, when people suffered and struggled from anxiety, they've been told it's all in their head. And we know that's not true, of course, but that's what people are told. And in the end, even now, they're told it's all in their head. Really? You got anxiety? Really? Or you just, you got emotional problems? Is there just something wrong with you? Why do you have anxiety? I mean, the amount of stuff that people go through, the amount of hardship they go through with this whole anxiety thing is unbelievable. I talk about all the different symptoms. So Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. You don't want to miss this anxiety episode. It's like a docu-series style. That's what it is, podcast. It's a docu-series style. It's not a throwaway. You don't want to miss it. It's packed with information. Honestly, the link is in the description. There's no way I can deliver all the information that is in that podcast episode. There's no way I couldn't sit here for hours and deliver all that information line for line in the anxiety episode at Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. Line for line, you guys, is jam-packed with information. Jam-packed. David Witchin, hey man, I'm glad you're here. Everybody's coming on. Glad you guys are here. This is great. I'm seeing familiar faces. It's incredible. Link is in the description right there. You don't want to miss this episode. I'm just being straight out about this, you guys. I know I delivered an incredible caffeine episode. I know I delivered the brain fog episode, the B12 episode, and these are amazing. The apple cider vinegar episode. But I'm just telling you right now, the anxiety episode, that is it's like no other that I've done. The whole bit, you don't want to miss this. So, they say it's all in your head. That's the subtitle of this episode. It's a docuseries style episode. It's packed with information so you can heal. I'm going to talk about some symptoms of anxiety. That's what we're going to do here for a little bit. We're going to cover that. Kathy Owen says, hello, anxiety is real. Yes, it is. And I'm so sorry if you've gone through it. You'll listen to the podcast. Amazing, Kathy. You've got to check it out. You can hear the uncensored version at Apple Podcasts, a Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. That's the uncensored version. That's the one that you want to hear. Okay, that's the platform you want to hear. That is right there. Catherine Elizabeth, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Anthony. Another mind-blowing episode. Neurons having to take a different path in the brain. That's what I talk about in the episode. That's one thing. That's one thing in the episode. So much information, so many tools that you can apply. I mean, really. And I mean, it's such an amazing, amazing episode that you guys have to listen to, And look, to help anxiety, I have those meditations. So listen to the meditations too. The brain meditation, the moon meditation. By the way, full moon coming up our way. Full moon's coming up our way. The moon meditation, you guys have to do the moon meditation during the full moon for sure. So Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. The link is in the description. You can hear the moon meditation, which will help with anxiety. Freeze the bird meditation, which will help with anxiety too. And I'm glad you guys are on right now. So you don't want to miss this episode because it's packed with information. I talk about the tightness in the chest, okay? The numbness in the arms, tightness in the chest, the whole feeling can't breathe, the anxiety, the feeling of you can't sit still, all the different symptoms, coupled with if you've been struggling with a symptom or a condition and then having anxiety, how people don't understand that and how that works. So I'm so glad you guys are on tonight, so glad. And Darlene says, hi, Anthony, thanks for all your podcasts. This episode is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, so I hope you guys catch this. Dr. Fonz here, medical doctor, amazing doctor. He's here also. It's incredible to have you here. So glad, it's honored to have you here. You're a great man of medicine, great man of wisdom and medicine. It's so great that you're here. You guys, that this episode, the link is in description, so you know. This episode was one of these episodes where I was like, well, how much information can I deliver? How much can I do in here? And I was like, okay, let's just do as much as we possibly can, as much line for line. Wow, so much in there. So it's so great to have you guys on here right now. So find out, like we could do with this. The link is in the description, Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. You don't want to miss this one. I see everybody's here. It's great. Familiar faces everywhere. It's so great that everybody's here. So many. It's free. So that's the other thing. So people say, well, he's just pushing his podcast. What is he selling? Like, are you kidding? Medical Medium information has been free since day one. Going back. That's all I do. It's like free everything. And this podcast is a docu-series podcast. That's what it is, really. So you got to realize that the production and everything in it, it's not the same. These aren't throwaways like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. Let me get a couple of people, let me get some guests on, and you kind of just shoot the crap and that whole thing. Coffee talk. Next. Oh, hey, you come on. What do you got going? Next. It's cattle call. And, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But these are answers. This is life changing. This is about getting your life back. This is about rising out of the ashes. This is about healing. This is about saving lives. And that's what matters. I mean, no matter what. That's what matters. Robin S. said, wonderful podcast. I still have more anxiety than I realized, but it isn't debilitating anymore. Thank you and SOC for all your hard work. Incredible. I'm so glad you're here. So if you've been through emotional hardships, emotional struggles, emotional trials, emotional difficult times, I talk about what happens is a heating up of the brain occurs. So a certain part of the brain, the whole brain gets heated up, but a certain part of the brain, the emotional center of the brain, gets heated up. So anxiety is a physical thing. It's actually a physical thing that's going on. Trisha Marie's here, so good to see you. Anxiety is a physical problem. And that's what people don't understand out there. Like, shake it off, man. Like, you got anxiety, no big deal. Like, why don't you go run on a treadmill and you'll be all set? And why don't you kind of, whatever. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. Ashley's here. Ashley Applesauce. Incredible. Glad you're here tonight, today. So it's like the bottom line, you guys, is Jamie says, once I listen to your latest podcast, I can't even wait until the next one. Well, I'm so glad that you guys are listening to it. This is a life-changing episode, and I put so many tools in there and talk about what they do, and I talk about triggers. That's the other thing. Whoa, you guys! I covered triggers like no other in this. I mean, seriously, I cover the triggers in ways that people never even heard because there's so many of them, and I talk about what's going on with them. If you have anxiety, you could be getting triggered with something in your environment, something you're eating. You could be getting triggered. So I talk about those triggers. So important, and so important for healing. So that's one thing right there. So when the heating of the brain occurs in the emotional center, so that's what happens. So when you get bad news, what is it? Is it a breakup? Is it somebody's backstabbing you? Some betrayal happened. Somebody let you down. Emotional trust. Maybe it's a really hard loss. A really horrifying, horrific loss. And I have a friend that I talked to just recently who had a terrible loss a couple of years ago. Just got awful. And he was telling me that when it happened, this loss happened, he got knocked off of his feet. He hit the ground. And I told him what happened was when you got delivered that news, when that news came in, the brain went into extreme heat in the emotional center. Just extreme heat in there. Just went in the, like boom, like a heat ball. Lightning going on in there. And that lightning cauterizes some tissue because he got anxiety after his bad news that happened. He never had anxiety in his life. And then after that bad news, when he had that terrible loss, all of a sudden now, anxiety started to creep up. It started to creep up a little bit at a time, more and more. And as it was creeping up and getting worse and worse, I told him what was happening. So Alien says, I love your catchy poems, intro, and poetic in the podcast. They're so powerful. Thanks for informing me about anxiety. I can finally leave the house again. Oh my God, that's incredible, Aries. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad you heard the podcast. It means the world that you're hearing that and you're getting any kind of help and any kind of information, and that matters. Echoda's here. Yes, I love the part where you covered triggers and what happens to our soul. That was so incredibly validating. We're live right now. If you guys just came on here, this is live streaming, so there's no confusion, okay? So this is straight up. I'm live right now, right? Betty said, what is the name of this podcast? Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. That's the platform right there that's uncensored for the Medical Medium Podcast. Link is in the description. Check it out. So my friend got this really horrific loss in his life that happened a couple years ago, and it hit the emotional center of the brain, and it just exploded with heat, and no one realizes that's what happens. The electricity that fires up, and then your adrenals surge, and you're in fight and flight. Like what can I do? What can I do? How can I stop this? What can happen here? And when that happens, it just gets hotter and it burns hot, and then you get these calluses I talk about in the emotional center of the brain, like a physical injury. And that physical injury that occurs in brain tissue and neurons needs to heal over time, and I talk all about it. It's really a powerful episode. That's just one thing. I talk about the different triggers. I talk about that, and I talk about the symptoms, like the tightness in the chest and the panic attacks and the different varieties of anxiety and what it feels like, and I cover all those as well. So, I mean, honestly, you guys, even if you don't have anxiety, it's a fun episode too, because it's packed with information, and that's just, it's always good to learn. It's always good to have this information. Trisha Marie said, you are poetic, so empowering. It's funny is that there's messages in all that information too. There's messages in the poems and the inspirational, it's living words from above, and the inspirational words that are there. So, you guys, and I know so many of you are dealing with anxiety right now, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Anxiety is a big deal right now, because I'm always dealing with people having to have that, trying to help them and make sure they have the information they need. But right now, in the time where we are right now, it's just people are so anxiety ridden. It's like elevated to a point that's just unbelievable. So really, this episode is so important. Lexi Hannah says, your brain meditation really helps me. Oh, fantastic. I hope you keep on doing it because it's so helpful. And really, the brain meditation is a great one. The moon meditation, the moon's coming out soon. So check out the moon meditation. Link is in the description, Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. And the reason why I say that so many times, because someone said to me, like, why do you say that? It's like, because then everybody, they don't know where to go, because then another person will be like, well, I don't know where to go. Where do I listen to it? So I'm trying to help as many people as I can. You guys are so patient. You're like, there he goes. Says it again. You already know where to go. You already know where to go. I know. Link is in the description. So thanks to you guys for being so patient with that. But if you guys can tell other people, if you can post about it or send the message out about this episode, that would be incredible. And about the meditations, just spread the message, share the message if you can. So great. And it's going to help so many people. And, we're a grassroots movement. There's no big PR marketing, big marketing firms, the Medical Medium, whatever. There's nothing like that. And it's all about healing with the information, like the book right there. You'll see behind me, the Medical Medium Cleanse to Heal. If you don't have that book, you might want to get it. It's on sale at Amazon, 51% off. So you might want to get that right there. I mean, and that's an incredible gift for the holidays and stuff to help people heal. So, and I have a friend that just got it too, and they're like, well, I'm getting this book for a family member for the holidays. Catherine Elizabeth says, when you describe being on the toilet bowl and having a panic attack, I said, oh my God, he's talking to me. Catherine, that's where everybody goes. I mean, where so many people go. Yeah, I've seen that. It's like, well, a lot of people go in their car. A lot of people they go into the kitchen. But yeah, it's like sometimes you go into the bathroom and you're like, oh my God, am I dying? And the panic attacks, it's so hard. Joanne says, when do you speak of healing anxiety? It's in the podcast episode. That's where it is. So Medical Meeting Podcast at Apple Podcast. The link is in the description. Don't miss out. And you'll understand all about anxiety, what causes it, what symptoms or what. Okay, one thing you'll learn, do you have a mild form of anxiety? Do you have a moderate form of anxiety? Do you have a severe form of anxiety? Like, which one do you have? You'll learn that in this episode too. Just EBN Flow says, I love all the meditations and use them all. Amazing. The podcasts are fabulous. Can't wait to see your topics because I know they will get down to the bottom of these things so we can take charge of our own health. And you guys, that's what I want. It's like, I want you to be able to take charge of your own health, take control over your own health, get better, get stronger, know what's wrong. And it's not enough just to know you have anxiety. It's not enough. We need to know what tools you use. We need to know what we're doing. I mean, it's not enough just to know. It's not enough to have a diagnosis of anxiety. Like, you have anxiety. Like, that's what you have. You have anxiety. Well, okay, great. Well, why? You're going through some emotional stress. Okay, well, sure, but wait a minute. Someone else is going through emotional stress. How come they don't have it? Because there's real physical reasons. This is a serious thing. I mean, it's debilitating for so many people. Claudia says, I had severe anxiety to the point where I couldn't walk. I had numbness in my arms. Oh my God. I couldn't breathe. Also chest pains, couldn't drive. People can't drive when they have anxiety. And so many other symptoms. So I started changing the foods and started juicing celery juice, and it worked. Celery juice. And I'll tell you why. It's a complete electrolyte. It goes to the emotional center of the brain. When you drink your celery juice, and you know what's funny, guys? I don't have a celery juice right now with me. I have a fresh squeezed orange juice. Right? That's what I have. So, and that's what's really funny there, right there. But I wish I had a celery juice right on me right now. But anyway, those electrolytes, those sodium cluster salts that are in celery juice only, go straight to the emotional center of the brain and start booting it up, start giving it neurotransmitter boosts, all of this, the whole bit. Marcelo, how you doing? I've been suffering from chronic anxiety attacks for months. How did you get that information? Well, how did I get the information? Over 30 years of helping out doctors with their troubleshooting with patients. That's what I did my whole life. Okay, I was the guy that was known to be like the bizarre symptoms guy, where people came from all around the world to search me out, seek me out, and all this is long before the internet was born too. And to find me and find information so they can find the answers. That's what it is. It comes from a source that I was gifted with as a child, but really it's not my gift. I'm just a messenger to give you guys the information. The gift is for you, so you have this information so you can heal. And that's what it's all about. So the information is all unique. The medical medium information, it has been for all these years. And what's funny is, just so you know, it gets out there, and then people don't cite it back, and they don't know how much in the health movement really is medical medium stuff going all the way back for 30 years. And then a few years go by and no one realizes it, and they take another little piece, doesn't get cited back, and then it's amazing how it works. But then people don't know where all the source of information is for the toxic heavy metals, the mercury, the aluminum in the brain and body, and the viruses, and Epstein-Barr virus, all these different things that I talk about. Anyway, you guys, link is in the description. And Manisa says, AW, your anxiety podcast is so cool. Put it on the shelf. So helpful for sufferers. That's so awesome. So glad you're listening to. Thank you for being here. Another incredible person. And you guys, I want to make sure you have what it takes to heal. And this one's packed. Don't get fooled. This episode, line for line. When you listen to it, you got to listen to it again. You're going to miss so much, and then miss so much. You can listen to this episode over and over again, and you'll learn and learn and learn. It's created that way so that it's so packed that it's really amazing. So I want you guys to know this. Please share. Leave a review if you can at Apple Podcasts. So that's the place to listen to it. Medical Meeting Podcast at Apple Podcasts. Joanne says, I am healing my 80-year-old mom of anxiety. Whoa, I started with your Cleanse to Heal protocol. Cleanse to Heal back here. That's incredible. Comprehensive medical book right there, you guys. You can have it in your hands and it would be so helpful. I started with your Cleanse to Heal protocol. Amazing results. People should know to follow your cleanse to start. Your body heals your mind. You guys are incredible. Joanne, thank you for that. Seriously. Look, it's like this. I tell you guys all the time, okay? I'm live, by the way. If you just got on here, we're live streaming. Regina, my anxiety is in high all the time. That sometimes I feel paralyzed. Whoa. And the thing is that is I talk about that. I talk about that in the episode where you can just be paralyzed on the floor. On the floor. You know, there's this little part in the episode, by the way. This little part in the episode, one little tiny piece compared to what's in there. And it's a guy talking to his friend, and his friend's like, oh, I got anxiety, but I just hop on the treadmill and just run it off and it's gone. And meanwhile, his friend is telling his friend, like, what do you mean you're curled up in a ball on the floor shaking? You know, it's people don't realize how serious this stuff is. I mean, really don't. Moon's coming out, moon meditation. Link is in profile, link is in the description. The moon meditation, really important. Now, Apple Podcasts is the platform, uncensored medical medium, and just letting you know in case you're interested to actually hear that episode, the whole bit anxiety episode. And you guys, it's important to know, like, is it mild? Is it a moderate version? What kind do you have? I talk all about that in there. Bron Jones says, funny this comes up when I just was talking about it. I never believed it was a real thing until I began suffering it myself. Oh my God, after my accident. Whoa, it is hard to accept that I have this. It is the worst thing I've experienced. Comes on so quick. Oh, that's so... So first of all, it's just unbelievable. I came after the accident. You know, I talk about that. I talk about how trauma, emotional trauma, accidents, losses, all these things. And then what happens is the center of the emotional part of the brain, okay, emotional center of the brain, it starts to heat up. It starts to burn up like lightning bolts going through there because we're electricity in here. It's all electricity running through our brain. And those lightning bolts heat up in there. And when they do, you're just burning that tissue because we have no choice. That's how it is. And then we get the anxiety later on. Cynthia says, I am also doing your heavy metal detox, day 5 now, feeling the heal. I love your moon meditation. Moon meditation, big moon coming, right? The moon meditation. So you guys, anyway, I cover so much in this episode. I just had to tell you guys. I had to. This is an exciting one for me because honestly, I put so much in this one. And I do that with all the episodes. If you listen to the episodes, you hear it. But I mean, I think I even pushed it to even to a point where I was like, oh my God, can I even do anymore? But listen, you guys know where to find it. Link is in the description. Thank you for coming on tonight. This has been amazing. Anne says, my anxiety is paralyzing every day. I haven't left the house in almost a week and a half. No one understands. And you must have heard the episode, right? People don't understand. I say it in the episode. I say it in there. How people don't understand. They don't get it. I mean, really, it's that difficult. It's that difficult. Lorraine L is here too tonight. I just saw her comment go up. You guys are really incredible that you're here and everything. Alexandra says, what's the title of the book? So the book's behind me. It says Medical Medium Cleanse to Heal. It's the most comprehensive medical textbook there is. Supplements in there as far as how to take them, how to use them, dosages, over 200 symptoms and conditions. So many cleanses in there, different cleanses to help heal. It's a recipe book, you guys, too. That's a recipe book. People are like, when are you coming out with your recipe book? That's a recipe book. That has more recipes than recipe books. It's almost 100 recipes, 75 recipes in there. I mean, what more can you do? Regina, what's the name of the podcast? Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. So Medical and then Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. You don't want to miss it. But I'm just giving you forewarning. There's some really powerful episodes there, and there's the brain meditation, the moon meditation, the freeze a bird meditation. Try those. It's a guided meditation. I'm walking you through. Rebecca says, you're an incredible human, completely changed my life. It seemed like I was healthy to everyone, but with heal to cleanse, 150 days straight celery juice, heavy metal shake, cutting out the troublemaker foods. You got cleanse to heal. That's what it is. I now feel incredible after nearly a decade. So cleanse to heal is bringing your life back. It's bringing your life back. If you guys don't have that book, guys should grab it. If you don't want to get it it's 51% off at Amazon.com US. If you don't want to get it that way, go to the library. Get it for free there. Hazel, hi Anthony. When will you do an episode on eye thyroid disease? And thank you for loving us and caring for us. I do love you guys. I do care about you guys. That's what it's all about. And you guys know, I've talked about this on some of my lives I've done where I've said everything's for free. I don't have subscription charges on my website. I don't withhold information from you guys. It's always for free and stuff too. Yeah, I care. It's the whole point. Bobby loves to thrift. Hey, I'm glad you're here today. My hands usually crack this time of year. Since celery juicing the last 6 weeks, my hands are not cracking or bleeding from washing my hands so much. My skin is so hydrated and I'm over 50. Incredible. That's amazing. The celery juice is that powerful. You're at the home of the celery juice movement. It's here. Susan Renee, Vimergy.com's B12 and lemon balm has helped me and take the edge off. It's the best B12, my opinion. The best lemon balm is Vimergy. Right on, 100%. So one I use, that is by far the best. So if you guys, if you want the best B12, if you want the best lemon balm for anxiety and everything else, or anything you're going through, it's what I take. It's their lemon balm. It's Vimergy, V as in Victor, I, M as in Mary, ERGY. Best company out there. I always share what companies I love out there. As the Wyman's Wild Blueberries is what I use. There's other companies I use too. Ichota says, comment went up. So much information, you guys. And you guys remember, I'm not sponsored either. I'm not sponsored. So it's something that's really important to know. So, look, you guys, this is it, Carolyn says it's the new book about anxiety. Carolyn, it's a podcast episode. It's a docu-series style podcast episode. It's Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. See? That's just why I say it, because somebody new pops on and they don't know where it is, and I want you to know. So if you guys can tell everybody too, please tell everybody. You don't want to take time out of your day or anything, but if you got a minute and you can tell somebody else and share it, please share the Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcast. Help them learn how to use it and get that information for free. Mary says, I'm glad I came across this, Anthony. I'm going to check it out. Thank you. Incredible. Well, you guys, I love you, and I'm going to let you go. And just thank you for being here. I hope you listen to the podcast episode. And just know I care about you. And may the angels be by your bedside tonight, help you heal, and do some healing tonight as you're sleeping. God bless you.